Hollywood has lost its mind. So Hollywood, the way we currently know it, is certainly in a death spiral. I own hundreds and hundreds of movies. When I bought this house, I actually had custom shelves built to house the hundreds and hundreds of physical pieces of media that I had, Blu-rays and DVDs. Then I started purchasing digital content because it was obviously very convenient. And to date, I currently have, I think last I looked was 734 movies on my Apple library that I have purchased. Having said all of that, I love watching films. And I used to go to the movie theater and watch the movies that were coming out that I was really excited about. Today, it's hard to afford to go to the movie theaters. Here in the Memphis area, you can expect to pay $14 for your ticket into the theater, and then if you purchase any of their snacks, which most all of us tend to like to do, including me, your popcorn and drink, that's going to be another $12 to $15 at least. So you are a good $30 in per person to watch the movie. The problem I have with that these days is I can purchase the movie on Apple typically for $20 within a few weeks of it hitting theaters. And you can even purchase movies that are in the theaters now, in most cases, for about $24, $25. So I have to weigh, is it just better for me to just purchase the movie and watch it at home? Many of you would say, well, no, it's not, Mark, because you need to see it on the big screen. And I will admit there are some movies that I certainly have wanted to experience on the big screen. What I'm not liking about the theaters these days is so many movies have gotten longer and more expensive. So I could stay at home, purchase the movie for cheaper than I could go to the theater and see it. And while I might not experience it on a huge big screen, I can experience it in the comfort of my living room. And if I need to pause it and go do something else, I can, because some of these 2.5 and 3 hour movies are a little bit long for the average moviegoer, I think, to enjoy, unless the story is just really, really good. And lately, all of the movies I've seen that have been really, really long, the stories have not held my attention for the 3 to 3.5 hours. So I think that's something that Hollywood certainly needs to address. The biggest problem right now has been that blockbusters have been costing Hollywood way too much money to make. And in turn, they've been losing money, which makes them less eager to go out and make other great movie projects. A fantastic example of this issue would be the Godzilla Minus One movie out of Japan. Director Takashi Yamazaki directed and wrote this amazing Godzilla Minus One movie in 2023. It had a very good circulation in the US box office, although it didn't hang around for very long because the King Kong vs. Godzilla New Empire movie was also slated to be released in the US, and the studios didn't allow Minus One to be in the theaters within a few months, within a certain amount of time of the King Kong Godzilla movie being released. Godzilla Minus One grossed over $150 million in the box office with a budget of $15 to $20 million. And while we've not been given the exact amount of money, the director, Takashi, actually claimed it was closer to that $15 million mark. The visuals in this movie look absolutely amazing, which begs the question, Hollywood, what are you doing? Why are you spending the insane amount of money that you are on some of these projects and then having to take the loss? And what makes me mad, and I think so many of you probably mad as well, these losses are causing the executives in Hollywood to not make a bunch of movies that many of us want to see get made. We know we can take smaller budgets and make some amazing films. Why can't Hollywood get their act together and actually start to produce some of these films, these great stories that many of the fans want to see, and just spend less money doing it. Now, I mentioned King Kong vs. Godzilla, the new Empire movie, which recently hit theaters in the spring. It had a budget of $135 to $150 million, and it ended up grossing $524 million. The Kong Skull Island movie, which was a really popular King Kong movie, it grossed $555 million with a budget of $185 million. But again, Godzilla Minus One, $15 million, and it looks spectacular. And by the way, Godzilla Minus One also won the Oscar for Best Visual Effects. Takashi said he was able to produce this movie on that budget because he actually sat in the visual effects room with the 35 creators, visual effects artists, and he actually rolled on a chair from artist to artist, okaying shots immediately. As soon as they were getting finished, he would give it the thumbs up and he would move on to the next shot. There was none of this sending the shot off to a boardroom for a bunch of people to approve and then it getting declined and sent back to the artist who's just been sitting around twiddling his thumbs for 3 or 4 days getting paid, who then has to start all over. And then the vision gets completely changed or part of the story gets rewritten and all of those effect shots are thrown in the trash can and a whole bunch of new effect shots have to come into it. It's a lot of waste that's currently happening in Hollywood. And for those of you who might not be keeping track with Hollywood's current state, take a look at this list of blockbusters from 2023 into the 2024 year. The Marvels lost $237 million. The Flash lost $155 million. Indiana Jones lost $143 million. Disney's Wish lost $131 million. And as of just a week ago, Furiosa had currently grossed $49 million domestically on a $170 million budget. The truth is, Hollywood needs to change the way they've been doing business. So my message directly for Hollywood at this point is a few things. Stop spending so much money. Rein it in. Take different approaches. I talked to Rob, a local filmmaker here in the Memphis area, and he brought up the fact that so many indie filmmakers can take a really fantastic story and shoot it for way, way less, partly because of the decisions that they make artistically that saves them so much money. A good example of that he mentioned was at the opening of a movie scene. If you had a guy pull up into a parking lot and open the door and get out and walk down the street, the Hollywood way of shooting that would be to send that shot to a Foley artist and have them put in the footsteps, put in the car door being slammed, the engine, taking hours and hours and hours to layer each and every one of those sounds onto the film. The way that an independent filmmaker would do it would be to just buy the rights to a great 80s song and blare the song on top of the shot while the car comes up and the guy gets out and walks down the street. Is the audience none the wiser or even cares? Chances are they don't. If it doesn't take away from the story artistically or add to the story artistically, why spend so much money on it? Make some smart decisions that can get the film project made for a little bit cheaper budget. Also, while we're on it, another way Hollywood could save money is to rein in the spending on your marketing campaigns. Actually, put the money for a specific movie towards the targeted audience. The auto industry has been doing this now for years. You rarely see auto commercials on television. Why? Because it's a shotgun blast on your local TV news station, and most of the people who are watching that commercial aren't in the market for a car. So what do car lots do now? They actually spend all of their marketing online, and when you type in Google that you're searching for a certain kind of car, their marketing shoots straight to your eyes and you're like, oh, I see a bunch of car lots right here within 10 square miles that I can buy this car. Hollywood needs to do the same thing. We all know, the social media platforms know, Google knows the target audience for the movies that Hollywood is currently producing. So Hollywood should just spend their marketing money going directly to ads through phones and online sources. Period. Number 2, Hollywood needs to stop changing scripts and paying for shooting and reshooting and reshooting and reshooting. It's just a waste. Settle on a fantastic story, a really good story, lock the script in, shoot it, and be done. My final piece of advice for Hollywood, and I think we all feel the need to tell Hollywood this: let's get some new material. There are literally millions of fantastic books and stories and untapped material floating around out there, that stories that need to be told, stories that would be fantastic to be told in movie theaters, in cinema. Why do we keep rehashing the same old material, redoing movies and classics, reshooting movies and old classics to put them back into the theaters? There's absolutely no need for it. I understand the business side and the business thinking of Hollywood when they think, well, we have a really good IP or franchise, let's just stick with that. I think Americans are tired of it. I think worldwide movie fans are tired of it. If you get a really fantastic story and you get really good, fantastic actors, and it's shot really beautifully for $20 or $30 million, I just don't think the gamble would be that big. Hollywood needs to do better. If Hollywood could bring the budgets way down and they could stand to make less money at the box office, less per ticket, and they could get movie theaters to drop the prices back down, let's say $7, $8, maybe even $9. If you could just stick with $9, you get it under $10. If movie theaters would then bring the prices of their concessions down just a little bit, $10 for a combo, where Americans could go for a $20 bill to the movie theaters to see a movie and eat popcorn, I think people would flood back to the movie theaters, especially if there's great, fresh, new content with great new stories that everybody's excited about. I would be willing to gamble more of my income if the price of the ticket was a little bit cheaper and it was some exciting stuff to go to the movie theater and see. So Hollywood, the ball is in your court. If you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel, please do so. We'll see you on the next one.